Hey everyone, it's Mac with Confused IT. In this video, I wanted to show you how you can add an ESXi host to your vCenter. It's a really straightforward process. There's a couple things you need that this video is going to assume that you already have configured. One of those things is an ESXi host with a static IP address. The other thing is that it is on the same network as your vCenter, or at least your vCenter can communicate with your ESXi host over the network. Those are pretty much the main requirements. There's probably also some compatibility stuff if you're using like really old ESXi and really new vCenter, but if you're within a few versions of each other, there shouldn't be any issues there. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is you're going to right click on your data center and you're going to hit add host. If you don't have a data center, then you can just right click on your vCenter object and click in data center. It's really straightforward on creating those. So we'll go ahead back to the data center, right click, add host. And here we're going to put in the host name or IP address. I would suggest either, an FQD on a fully qualified domain name, or the static address, the IP address. The host name is, it would be my preferred option. That's usually what I do because I think it looks nicer in the VMware interface. It's probably also pretty helpful if your IP changes. It's tied to a host name. So I'm going to do that now. And then we're going to hit next. And here you're going to enter in your root credentials for that ESXi host. And we're going to hit next again. In that last screen there, I've already added this host to this vCenter, so sometimes what happens is you'll get a security warning that the certificate on that ESXi host can't be verified, and if you want vCenter to replace that cert with one that comes from the vCenter. And it's a typical thing when you add a new host. It's pretty straightforward. You just press yes, and then you're on this screen, and there's really no issues. If you're ever remove that host and then try and re-add it to vCenter, that prompt is usually gone. So if you want to see what it looks like, it's in our knowledge base if you want a screenshot of that, what that sort of security warning pop-up looks like. But yeah, so past that, we're looking at the host summary. This just tells you, your the name, the vendor. This is just an HP desktop I'm running for, just to test this out. The VMware version, it also shows the VMs that are running on that host. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. Here we're going to pick your licenses. There's an evaluation license that comes from the host right now, which I'm just going to keep using that one. But if you had licenses in your vCenter for VMware, ESXi, it would show here. It does only show you compatible licenses. So my vCenter has licensing for 6.5, 6.7, vCenter 7, but not. I removed the license for ESXi 7.0, so that's why it's not here. But basically, you would see only what's supported for this host in this screen. And we'll just pick that and we'll hit next. So here's the lockdown mode. This is kind of a choice on your part on how secure you want this to be, how locked down. And if you read this paragraph here, it basically just limits how much access you have to the ESXi host once it's added to vCenter. So the normal mode is that it's only accessible through the local console or vCenter, and then the strict mode is that it's only accessible through vCenter, and the direct console UI service has stopped. So, preference on this part and how secure you want it. One thing I would suggest when you're determining this is figuring out, thinking about what happens if your vCenter isn't on. That's one problem that you might run into if you have a really strict lockdown mode and you don't have a vCenter to work with. The second thing is how hard is it to get to the local console of your, your server, whatever. If it's a desktop and a closet, which if it's production, it should definitely not be a desktop. But if it was, it may be hard to get into it if you have remote management, like an IPMI or something, or an ILO or a DRAC. Those things would be, would probably get you into the console. Just think about those scenarios of if you don't have a vCenter and how hard would it be to get to your console. That might help you make a decision here on what you're looking for. In this case, it's just a test, server or lab server in my case, so I'm going to leave it on disabled. So here you can choose where you want the VMs that are on that host to be added, where you want them to go on your vCenter. If you're just building a brand new host, odds are there's probably no VMs on it, so the screen you can probably skip over, but I have 2 VMs on this host that are going to be added, that are already on the host, so this is where I'm going to put them. If you just click your data center, they'll end up in there. You don't have to necessarily pick a folder, and you can always move them later. So I'm going to hit next. And here is the overview of the settings we've configured. So the name, the location, the version, the license, the networks, the data stores that are on that host, the lockdown mode, and then the VM's location. And that's pretty much it. We're going to hit finish. It's normal that it shows up as red here for a little bit. It's got to make a connection, and then it has to sync the data back and forth, and so it could take a little bit to sort of sync up and then turn normal, which it just did. And then it'll give you any kind of warnings you might have. So this is now added, and now we can go ahead and expand this, and I'll see my VMs that are on there. And now you can control the VMs. You can add new VMs. You can change some of your ESXi settings through here when it comes to your switches and data stores, all that fun stuff. So at its core, just in case you're not familiar, vCenter's purpose at the I would say the base level, the core thing that it does is helps you manage multiple ESXi hosts from one interface. Obviously, there's a million things it does now, but I would say at its core, that's like its original purpose is to help manage a large environment. So that's how you add an ESXi host to vCenter. If you need to remove it, right-click, remove from inventory. It's just a yes, and then it's gone. So it's a real easy process. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Our website has some resources that you might find useful as well. Confused IT is a non-for-profit organization ran by IT professionals. Our mission is to make IT knowledge more accessible and easier to digest. Thanks for watching.